In 2000, my husband and I moved to the Eastern Cape from Johannesburg. I was an artist then and a non-practicing medical doctor. He's an obstetrician. And we moved to work in a less academic environment, especially for my husband's career. But we had heard about the village of Hamburg, and because it was part of former Ciskei, which was a homeland, it was just during the 90s and in 2000 was just becoming a place where people felt they could go back to as holiday homes. And we had friends, so we decided to buy a weekend house in Hamburg. And that's how I got to know the community of Hamburg, and it was my first experience directly of involvement in people's lives who live on or below the breadline, have constant worries about money and health. And so because of that, I got more and more drawn into the community, and eventually in 2000, later 2000 and 2001, formed the art project, which was initially going to be a project just to give work and skills and self-esteem to women, because I found everybody very depressed and hopeless at that time. And then it grew into all sorts of other areas. But the initial thing was a poverty alleviation, esteem building through making art.
Okay, this is Studio One, and then everything that we have today in the program, it all started here. And then if we walk in this side, this is where we've got our shop, where we're selling all our different artwork that was made in Hamburg. I think you've noticed that everything that we have in our shop will have the cow. Even our logo of Keiskamma Trust have got the cow. We've got different people that are designing different kinds of cows. We've got these popular ones that were made by Nozetti. She's one of our artists. And then all different artists, they've got their own different style of making a cow. So these ones are Nozetti's ones. I think we've decided as Keiskamma Trust to go for the cow because this program is about bringing back the Xhosa dignity. So our dignity is on the cow. Everything that we do, when you see a woman and then you want to get married to that person, you have to pay lobola, and then lobola, it's in a form of a cow, because this is our wealth. So how wealth the family is, you look at the number of cows that they have. So that will be telling you. And then this is our studio. In this studio, that's where we do our the designs of different designs are done here, and then the embroidery people are usually based in this studio, which is Studio One. And then in the same studio, our end products are being finished here. So whatever that is designed and embroidered, and then for baking purposes, people will have to come here. The ladies here are busy with our new, this is very exciting. This is our new fabric printing that we have at Keiskamma, and it's exciting. And then all this first, it was embroidered, and then today it's on fabric, and then it's beautiful. It's also what you get in Hamburg. Hamburg have got goats, and Hamburg have got birds together with the trees and the kraal and the cows. So even on these designs, you get what you see in Hamburg.
And it looks like they're making aprons, is that right?
Yes, they are making aprons.
And
They're busy making aprons.
Sporting them as well? Thank you.
Yes, on a sunny day, they will be sitting outside, as you can see them, and then they're busy working outside because the sun is allowing them to do so.
Lovely giraffes.
Yes, this is beautiful. When's the London bag? Is this a bag? Or it can be a cushion cover, and then it can be a bag. So for how long have you been working on this? Kudala usebenza kuyo? Le nto? Kudala uyenza? Since Friday. I think she started working on this on Friday.
Yeah, a lot of work.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, as you can see, people are sitting outside and then busy doing different kinds of art. As it's different designs, and then this one it's a botanical. Yes.
My idea was, well, if they could just start making art, they would make something and be proud of it. And then it wasn't even in the beginning for them to get income. It wasn't income generation. It was let them come together, let them make something, let them be proud of what they've made, and then get them a step out of the kind of hole that they'd got into. A lot to do with this village and other parts of South Africa, but particularly those that were in homeland areas. People lost identity because people were shifted in, people were moved out, people were Ciskaians and then they were not. They belonged to a country that then disappeared. A lot of the South African nationalist government had put a lot of industry into bolster these countries, so-called countries, to make them look as if they were working. And from 1990 onwards, all those industries were removed because they were in rural areas. So in spite of the democracy in South Africa from 94, some of the areas were actually worse off, because at that time, at around 2000 still, because they had none of the false economic backing that homeland areas had got, and didn't know where they stood in the whole thing.
I joined Keiskamma when we started the health program. Otherwise, it was an art program. And then, with the advent of HIV, which was very destructive in the area, a thought for health program came into place. We were the only center that had knowledge of these drugs. The government herself did not know, or if it had known about them, it had not taken a decision whether to take or to use them. So all the people around, even beyond former Ciskei, they would come, they would flock here. We used to have floor beds. People were coming from all over. Cars were coming, bringing relatives. Some people would bring their relatives even from bigger cities like Johannesburg and Cape Town, because look, our people live on migrant labor. So when they get sick there, the relatives would fetch them and bring them to our mini hospital, and quite a lot of them would be helped, would be cured and go back home.
And we ran our own ARV program. We got ARVs from an American funder. We ran a clinic. We put over 1,000 people onto ARVs and saved many, many, many lives. In our care, many people died as well, because the ARVs were too late, because of a whole lot of things. And we ran a full-on clinic. And and an inpatient. We had about 20 people sleeping in what's now our hospice. So we had that experience, and that experience of similar to the South African election, of absolute jubilation when the election was over. Nelson Mandela was our president. We won the World Cup. All those things happened, and the same happened in quick succession. By about 2006, our altarpiece was in Canada and then touring North America. But then, and Thabo Mbeki got out of power, and we got a new health minister, and we got ARVs, and so we had one of the best AIDS treatment programs in the world, best funded and best free treatment for people and eventually from clinic level they were able to get it. But that was only from 2010. So those years from 2006 to 2010, I was working full time as a doctor, and I got more and more angry at how poverty affects access to treatment. That people were expected to get to hospital to get their ARVs when it was 60 kilometers away, that when they had absolutely no money to do it, when they were expected and told to eat meals when you could go in their homes and there was no money to buy the meals. So that even though on the one hand you put in place a very, very good system, health service system, you're not taking into account that people are getting poorer and that poverty affects health and access to health. And there are many diseases that are totally curable that people around here are still dying of all the time. So I got angrier and angrier with seeing things happening to people and seeing how helpless they were in the face of this. Because at that time I wasn't just working in Hamburg where we had the project and we had a much bigger impact. I was working throughout the whole Pedi area when some villages were 2 hours drive away and there was just no way people could access what they needed. So I slowly got angrier and angrier, and people dying unnecessary because ambulances didn't come. Ambulances often didn't come. People going all the way to hospital paying the money and not getting a chance to see the doctor. Many, many, many things. And then, but I was very reluctant to make the work because I thought it was personal anger. So then when I wanted to make it, I went to everybody and explained, as I'm explaining now, are you also angry? Do you, like especially the management and the artists, do you also want to say that? And people said yes, and then we started the process. And we added to the process of expressing grief, because many people had died and it became so common, and it was if they were just forgotten, because there was funerals, sometimes 2 or 3 funerals in a week, and it seemed to be happening too quickly. So there was also the memorial of the people who died.